It sounds like Zach Hyman has played his final game as a Leaf. James Myrtle dropped an article for The Athletic this morning, and he indicated that multiple sources told him, and they said they didn't believe any toxic substance had happened. Other teams and agents believe Hyman can now command close to $6 million a season. That would certainly be too expensive for the Leafs. I'm going to break this down into two questions for you here. Where do you see Hyman ending up if he does end up leaving Toronto?
I kind of hate this. I kind of hate this prediction thing. I kind of like Bob McKenzie because it's really tough to map everything out. But I mean, if you're looking, I would look to Seattle to try and bring him on, to
Interesting.
try and fill out that roster. I don't know if, I mean, they're still going to be a relatively young team or just up and coming. They could fill out some cap space. They're looking to command 6 million, but I'd be wary of giving Zach Hyman 6 million. As much as I love him and as much as I love his play, I would not go over 5 million. I've said multiple times that maybe 4.5 is the range I would go, even if you are looking for a long-term year. It's still a movable cap hit if you decide to move him in the fifth or sixth year, if you do go that route. But yeah, given his age right now and given the past two years or so, he's had, injuries with his knee, MCLs. I know we required surgery on when he sprained the same knee this year against the Vancouver Canucks. So there's that lingering issue. Is the risk worth it? I don't know. I don't think so. And someone like Zach Hyman, I mean, you can either find another replacement in free agency at a cheaper hit, or you could, bring somebody up in through the system. I'm not saying that Rodin Namirov is going to be on the Leafs roster anytime soon, but he started skating, practicing here in Toronto, getting some shots off. I think Philip Hollander could be a really solid, middle six, third liner option. I know he had a really great season overseas. Lot of what ifs, a lot of different scenarios that could play out. But yeah, aside from Seattle, I would like to see maybe him try and maximize his potential on maybe another contender. But again, given where the cap is, where the NHL is at right now, it's going to be tough to try and get that team unless it's a team that's like just trying to get to the cap margin.
No, I agree with you there, and I've heard a lot of rumors that the Edmonton Oilers, who notably have 22 million coming off the books this offseason, could be a team interested in signing him. We already know what happened when they signed Milan Lucic, though, and I'm obviously
Yeah.
not trying to directly compare the two players, but Hyman plays that type of game that obviously we've seen injuries. Like even Nick Foligno kind of plays somewhat of a similar style per se, and he had that back issue that he looked like a shelf of his former self, and I would be weary giving a long-term deal at that type of money for Hyman. Although I would love to see what he's like playing next to Connor McDavid, even just for one season, if it could maximize his skill set there, because I think he would be awesome. And a
Definitely.
guy I would love to see the Leafs go after, just say if they do have to get rid of Hyman, is Blake Coleman. And I'm sure you've been seeing this a lot, obviously. I did see a report today that apparently the Dallas Stars would most likely be his destination. It's kind of interesting that that's coming out considering he's still playing hockey games at the moment, but they believe that a hometown reunion in Dallas would be possible. I hope the Leafs could get that guy though, because he's very effective. Obviously, Tampa paid a first for him last year. I'm sure everybody's heard that enough. He was just such a great player. You can play him everywhere. He would be a cheaper version of Hyman, and although he wouldn't be necessarily as effective, I think for what he provides, he could still potentially play in the top six role. Although maybe a third line role is better for that player. But there's lots of options there. But let's just bring it back to Hyman because I think he deserves it. He was a part of that next iteration of Leafs in the Matthews, Nylander, Marner era, and getting traded for Greg McKegg. Look at how far he's come, improved every season, become pretty much a potential perennial now. He was going at it like almost a 30 goal pace 2 seasons ago.
Yeah.
He's become such an effective player. I love everything about him. Like I don't think there's a single Leafs fan that doesn't like him. He proved all the doubters wrong after that first year, after he scored 28 points, and everybody was saying he shouldn't be playing with Matthews. He proved why he should. I just want to know, Peter, what is your favorite memory of Zach Hyman as a Leaf?
Um, I want to say my favorite memory is, I would say this year was probably my favorite memory of Zach Hyman. I know it's probably, it's hard to pinpoint what's so great about him because, you know, he's not that elite level player. He doesn't wow you off your seat, but he does everything so well. And I think just from the time that he entered the league to the time now, especially this year, you saw how great his work ethic is. And I can't pinpoint on any specific moment because every single game he just did everything so well. And you win games with a Zach Hyman type of player. I mean, that's what Tampa Bay got last year. I mean, they were so heavy on offense. They went out and got Blake Coleman. They got Barkley Goodrow. They tried to fill out that depth. And Toronto had that player with Hyman, and they just couldn't quite get past this first round. I'm not going to dwell too much into that. But the fact that, you know, he's been consistent at what he does perfectly, you know, always getting to that 40-point mark. He would have been on pace to match a career high this year, if I believe, looking at Hockey Reference and the adjusted numbers quite a bit. He would have surpassed his previous season totals, and he was already on a tear before, you know, he went down with that injury again. But even just his mentality, his smile, it's just so energetic and always so positive. You know, you hate to see a player like that go, given the fact that maybe you wanted to try and get him at a reasonable hit, but if he wants to maximize his potential, you can't be upset about that because he's looking out for his best interest as well.
Yeah, I mean, our star players earned as much as they could. Why shouldn't Zach Hyman? Am I right? Like, and it's just been amazing. I agree with you. There's not too many like insanely like memories that stand out of Zach Hyman because with a player like Barry Kapanen, I already have three in my mind. Like his, you know, Game 7 overtime. Sorry, Game 7 goal that made it 4-3 Leafs in 2018, or the tying goal that's, you know, in that game that the Leafs clinched the playoffs back in 2017. With Hyman, you know, he just does everything right, and that's the consistency he brings, and he's done it these past few years. He's definitely going to be past his prime now, so it's going to be tough here. It's a tough scenario, and I'm sure the Leafs aren't they're treading this conversation for sure.
Hello, Leafs fans, and welcome to the Babbling Buds Podcast, hosted by Jordan Jacklin.